Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to Wrestling Daze Reviews. And we are reviewing this week's WWE Smackdown, and there's lots to go through. This was quite a strange show, actually, and I feel like the big talking point is going to be what we're going to start with. So, Logan Paul starts the show by coming out and doing a promo. The promo, there's not much to it. He basically says, I've done it again. Controversy. He's called out Roman, and this brings out the bloodline. It is worth noting that news of this had leaked before we actually got it, and we heard there was going to be a challenge. There's going to be a press conference. Basically, we're building towards a match. Logan, Roman at Crown Jewel, believably for the titles. That's what we believe it's going to be. So it seems like that's where this is going. News of that had broken just before the show. So even before the show happened, the question was being asked, how do you feel about Logan versus Roman for the titles? And this is kind of where we are. This is what we're expecting. This is kind of what we're getting. There's going to be a press conference tomorrow. It is worth noting, when Logan came out, he got booed out of the building. I mean, not as bad as boos we've heard for him before, but this was not a positive reaction. This was people booing. The segment felt very flat as a result. I think the crowd, if they'd been really into this, they could have really lifted this segment, but you could tell that Logan, a little bit awkward in there, little bit like, I don't know if he was expecting that reaction after such a great response to his SummerSlam match. But the truth is that he's always going to struggle to win everyone over, even if he puts in performances like he did at SummerSlam. There's always going to be people that are going to not want to see Logan in a wrestling ring. But more than that, I think there's a good chunk of people that just don't think that he should be facing Roman after having two matches. And I must admit, I'm one of those people. I actually don't mind him facing Roman. That doesn't bother me, because I think that, he's put in a good performance against The Miz. I think that, if he gets on the wrong side of Roman and Roman wants to teach him a lesson, I can kind of be down for that. And so Logan versus Roman, I don't have an issue with. My problem is, how can we justify giving him a title opportunity? Like, how can we justify him going after the championships? Because he's had two matches and that is it. Two matches. One of them was a tag match at WrestleMania. The other one was a match against The Miz, which was like a grudge match because The Miz had turned on him at WrestleMania. So to go from that to now he's getting a shot at the WWE Championship, the belt held by Stone Cold, by The Rock, by John Cena, blah, 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 and the Universal Championship, he's going after the biggest prize, arguably, in all of professional wrestling, and he's done it by having two matches. Like, there's no way of saying that he is worthy of that or deserving of that. It's way too soon for him to do that. If you want to get him to the point where he has a title shot, then I feel like we needed a lot more build than this. Certainly, he should have at least won a number one contenders match or something. I mean, think about people that have to win Royal Rumbles to get a title shot, or have to win Elimination Chambers to get a title shot, or, look at Theory. He's won Money in the Bank, and he's still trying to figure out the best time to cash it in. And here's Logan, having had a match against The Miz, and now gets a title shot. Like, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. So this is clearly being done because Logan's a big star. He's got a big following. They want to try and tap into that. They're taking it another step further. So we've seen them do celebrity matches. Now they're pushing it, and they're actually now putting celebrities into title matches, seemingly. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not like ranting on this. The reason why I'm not ranting on it is because I don't think he wins. I really don't think he wins. I will be horrified if he does, right? I will be horrified if he wins. I mean, that would be horrific if he was to win. I think the message that sends, that so a celebrity can come in, have 2 matches, and be crowned the WWE champion on their 3rd match, beat Roman Reigns, who's held the title for like 2 years. Like, it just doesn't even bear thinking about the message that sends out. It just makes the whole company look weak. So I'm really, really not into that idea at all. But I don't think he does win. I think this is going to be Logan putting in a really good performance and maybe being screwed out of it. Maybe he can go around saying if it wasn't for the Usos, I would have won, whatever. But I don't think he wins it. You can't have Brock falling short and then it's, the next pay-per-view, do Drew and have Drew falling short in front of the British fans. And then at the next pay-per-view, have Logan winning. So, yeah, for me, I'm not too mad about it because I really don't think he wins. But also, I mean, look, we know why they're doing it. It's just to get a hold of his fans. It's as simple as that. It's just to make headlines. It's as simple as that. So, and also, I've said before, and it is just worth repeating, I do think that Logan brings at least some sort of fighting ability. It's not as if he's Bad Bunny, who, to my knowledge, has got no fighting background whatsoever. I mean, I don't know anything about Bad Bunny. Perhaps he's trained in boxing. Perhaps he's trained in jiu-jitsu. Perhaps he's trained in karate. Perhaps he's trained in taekwondo. Perhaps he's trained in mixed martial arts. Perhaps he's trained in pro wrestling, amateur wrestling, grappling. I have no idea. None of those things I ever remember being mentioned. So if he is trained in those things, they could have mentioned it. Instead, all we heard was that he'd had a couple of months of training, which is nothing. I mean, that literally won't even cover the basics, to be honest. So, at least Logan is training in boxing and he's got like a background in amateur wrestling. So that's why it's a little bit easier to accept. And he's a decent height and he's got a great physique and he's coming off a great match at SummerSlam. So this is why I'm maybe not pulling my hair out and crying on stream like some people might expect, because my hatred of celebrity matches is well documented. But yeah, there's a few reasons why this is just not having that reaction to me. Most notably being that I just don't expect him to win as well. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I can't carve it up any other way. I'm not a fan of it. I think for him to get a title shot after a couple of matches is ridiculous. But I don't mind him against Roman. I actually think his performance against Miz was very good, very, very good. And seeing what he could do against Roman, I'm not down on that. So if at the press conference tomorrow, it's announced that it's going to be Logan versus Roman, no belts on the line because you don't deserve it. But if you beat me, then I'll give you a title shot. Like, if that gets announced, I can be behind that. I can be behind that, because if Logan does beat Roman, then yeah, he deserves a title shot. He just beat the champ. But at least this way, he's not battling for the belts. And even if the belts aren't on the line, I really don't think Logan should be the one to benefit by beating Roman. Roman hasn't been pinned in, I don't know, over 2 years. And I don't think Logan should be the one. So even if the belts aren't on the line, I feel a bit better about it, because I don't think he's earned a title shot opportunity. If the belts aren't on the line, I still don't think he should win. But it does at least make the match more palatable. So those are my thoughts on Logan versus Roman. I know that it's probably the biggest topic of conversation today. And it seems like that is the match we're getting at Crown Jewel. We will find out the specifics in a press conference tomorrow. So don't know if it's for the titles yet. I think it almost certainly will be. It's going to be in Saudi. It's going to be at Crown Jewel. I can't imagine them not putting the belts on the line in Saudi. I mean, those fans buying tickets are at least going to want to have the option or the hope of seeing a title change. If the belts aren't on the line, there's no way they'll see a title change unless Austin Theory comes down and Austin Theory cashes in and makes it a title match. So you have always got that wrinkle, I suppose. That's an interesting angle, actually, because you could do Logan versus Roman, not for the belts, but make sure that Austin Theory is very vocal about, don't worry, you will be defending those titles because I will be cashing in. And at least that way, people go into the show in Saudi won't feel like they're not going to see a title match, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I would probably book it that way. I'd probably do it Logan Roman, not for the belts, but make it quite clear that Sami Theory is very much planning on cashing in. So that was our open. As we said, the crowd booing really distracted Logan a bit here. You could tell that it wasn't quite going to plan. I don't think the crowd were reacting quite as he anticipated. And so, we quickly moved on, and out came the Bloodline. The Bloodline came out, and this was basically just, Paul Heyman just kind of saying that you need to pick someone else, and just kind of like saying, this isn't the right way forward for you, and that he respects him and all this kind of stuff. There was a little bit of back and forth, but nothing really that special. But this was let's put it this way, an interesting open, and it's really down to your opinion as to whether you thought it was a good open or not a very good open. So that's what we got from the open. Then we built to match, and the match was Ricochet against Sami. So Sami stepped up and tried to deal with Logan. He gets knocked out. Ricochet comes down. This match had been announced beforehand, so we get Ricochet versus Sami. This match is underway. Logan gets involved. Jey gets involved. You can see that Logan teasing that he's going to get involved, and so Jey jumps in, but actually Logan doesn't get involved, and so that means that Jey ends up distracting the ref while Sami is making the pin, right? So this is kind of a big moment here, because obviously there's a lot of heat between Sami and Jey Uso, and Sami here seemingly about to get the win. Jey makes the distraction. Didn't mean to. He thought that Logan was about to, and so he ends up distracting the ref and costing Sami. Sami jumps out, gets in the face of Jey. Jimmy tries to settle it all down, but the end result is Ricochet picks up the win. So Jey Uso sort of dropping the ball here, because he distracts the ref when Sami could have got the 1, 2, 3. But he distracts the ref, and so in the end, it is Ricochet that picks up the victory. Logan raising his hands. And this honestly eats up the first half an hour. Michael Cole was trending on social media because he mentioned PWG. He said this isn't the first time that Ricochet and Sami have faced each other. They have faced each other in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, PWG. And, any mention of other promotions or things that just don't normally get mentioned or weren't normally mentioned under the Vince regime, that automatically gets people talking. People will automatically start like, oh my God, they just mentioned PWG. And it seems like people haven't quite got used to that change yet. So any mention of any other promotion gets Twitter very, very excited. The other fun moment in this first match was, I think Paul Heyman just knocked into the commentary table, and a bit of monster drink spilt. And I don't think Michael Cole was too impressed. And Paul Heyman just grabs the whole can, tips it all out, and like stares at Michael Cole. So he empties out this whole can of Monster all over the commentary table. And Michael Cole's like, oh, that's great. That's mature, Paul. That's mature. And people were enjoying that. So there was a couple of fun things in this. I mean, it's great to see Ricochet wrestle, but to be honest, he just seems so cold. He just comes out, he wrestles these matches. The build for them is always a bit flat. I mean, I remember he wrestled against Baron Corbin the other week, and I mean, he's great in ring. Like, he can do some really good stuff, but he needs to get into a feud. He needs to be able to get his teeth into something. Like, we need some backstage interviews. We need some vignettes. We need some segments. Like, this just putting Ricochet in opening matches. I mean, it's showing off what he can do against some different opponents, and maybe we are laying some groundwork for him in the future. But, yeah, I'd like to see him in a feud. It seems like we are doing something with Ricochet. It's certainly not just sat in catering, but yeah, they always feel cold. Like him against Sami, just fine. Him against Baron Corbin, I know there was like a backstage attack or whatever, but it just didn't have enough to it to make me really care. So as an opening match, this was all right, but it was nothing more than that for me. Moving on, we then went to a Karrion Kross promo, and obviously in black and white. I don't have an issue with that. I said last week, I don't mind his promos in black and white. I don't mind his entrance in black and white. The only thing I'm not keen on is when he attacks someone in the ring, sneak attacks them, and they turn the camera black and white then in that moment. That's something that I could do without. But this, obviously, no issues here. And he was just basically saying TikTok, Drew's time's up, blah, 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 blah. And pretty standard stuff. Nothing really too special from this promo. Then we got Maximum Male Models. We did get Max and Maxine Dupree in the ring. Max Dupree said that we're just a stone's throw from LA. And again, that got people excited because, of course, LA Knight is being teased. There was a little backstage segment, a little YouTube video where he was saying that the night always follows the day, and walked off with a smile on his face. And so again, anything to do with LA, anything to do with Knight, anything to do with teasing that character is going to get people excited, because people like LA Knight a lot more than they do Max Dupree. But anyway, he said that we didn't go anywhere further than that. And instead, he announced the Back to School collection. Now, I was into this. I really like Maximum Male Models. They're a couple of jobbers, right? That's their role. They're here to put others over. A couple of jobber tag team that I like this for jobbers. The Brooklyn Brawler, he was a jobber, but he had a gimmick. And his gimmick was he was from Brooklyn, and he had like the cigar and the cap, and he had like the ripped up shirt, and he wasn't just a guy in his trunks like his, Pat Jenkins who waves. Like, this was the Brooklyn Brawler. I really like that for jobbers. I really like jobbers that have got some personality and a character. And, you can go back through like maybe 3MB. They were jobbers that put other people over that were quite fun. And you can go back through, the Singh brothers and the Stooges, and there's lots of like jobbers that have had like characters. This is just another example, really. This is a couple of jobbers that people find annoying, and you're meant to find them annoying. And they were doing their back to school collection. I mean, what's not to love? So they come out dressed in like back to school wear, and they're posing and showing off. And then obviously it was never going to last. Here comes the monster of all monsters. And Braun comes running down and attacks them and beats them up. So, look, I feel sorry for them. I don't know why Braun came after them. I don't know what Braun had against Maximum Male Models in particular. I don't know if he's targeting tag teams. It's felt like he's been going after tag teams. But either way, he comes down. He ends this segment. It makes sense. That's why Maximum Male Models are here, is for, moments like this. So Braun comes down, beats them up. He gets into the ring. He continues to powerbomb them and everything. But that brings out Alpha Academy. And Alpha Academy, so there's Braun beating up Maximum Male Models. And Alpha Academy come down, and they grab Braun, and they plant him, basically. Plant him and go off, and that leaves Braun in the ring. Braun did get some offense in on Alpha, but Alpha getting the better in the end of Braun. And Junior N in our watch-along said that he can see this lead into a handicap match. So Braun taking on both Otis and Chad Gable in a handicap match. And I agree. I can definitely see them going in that direction. Then we got Damage Control, and we do talk about Damage Control quite a bit because they are obviously a big faction. They are a big team. I mean, like, look, my feelings on this it doesn't change. I like them. I like Damage Control. I don't have any issue with Damage Control, apart from I just don't think their presentation is very good. Once again, there's nothing to this group. There's no identity. I mean, Dakota comes down with a jacket just around her arms, and I mean, like, they're just wearing just clothes that look like they're going out for the evening to a bar or something. I mean, like, I don't know. They lack star power to me. Like, there's nothing. I know it's Dakota. I know it's Io. I know they're great and people love them. I know they're heels as well, so you're not meant to, like, respect them or really like what they're wearing or anything. But, I mean, Seth's a heel. Look what he wears. Becky's a heel. Look what she's been wearing. Like, I feel like they could have, like, some sort of identity. I've said before, maybe they just need damage control t-shirts and then just put them in t-shirts, and maybe that would at least uniform them and make them look a little bit better. But yeah, she came out. Bayley was out. She said, guess who's back again, which is kind of nice because we was on the East Coast. So she was just kind of, putting over the new tag champs, talking about how she wants to be champ. She gets interrupted by Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel Rodriguez comes down. Raquel Rodriguez single-handedly deals with the women's tag champs on her own, which I think is a little problem, just a little problem. I know, again, it's just a little moment. Like, you're always going to have these moments, but I don't know. Like, it's the same with the Usos jobbing out for Roman. I don't like to see it. I think the Usos should be looking strong. Like, if we're trying to really build tag team wrestling, then your champions have got to look strong. Like, Raquel shouldn't be able to come down and just pick up one of the tag champs and throw it into the other and have both of them go down. Like, you've got to keep your champions strong. Like, again, you've got Braun just destroying the tag division. You've got Raquel beating up both of the women's tag champs. You got the Usos jobbing out for Roman. Like, I don't know. I thought that Triple H would treat the tag divisions a lot better than he has so far. But, again, early stages. We'll see where it goes. It was just a moment and nothing more than that. But this isn't an isolated moment. That's my point. Like, we're seeing a lot of this where the tag teams are being like, this is coming off the back of Maximum Male Models being attacked. Braun at one point was getting the better of both of Alpha Academy. Granted, they walked off strong in the end. But I do think this could be leading to a match where Braun is going to be in a handicap match and win against both of Alpha Academy. So, again, this isn't an isolated moment. There's lots of examples where tag teams are being, maybe not booked the strongest, which is just a little bit of a surprise coming from Triple H. Io gets a bit of revenge. She pops up and grabs a hold of Raquel with the sneak attack. That ends with Bayley getting the victory. And so Bayley beats Raquel. And, we kind of move on. I thought we were going to move on. They start beating up Raquel. All of Damage Control. That actually brings down Shotzi, which was a surprise. Don't know if Aaliyah is injured or what's happening there, but Shotzi came down and stood shoulder to shoulder with Raquel. And I don't know if this is going to lead to Damage Control against Raquel, Aaliyah, and Shotzi, or is Raquel and Shotzi now a new team, or is this just a one-off thing, or I don't know what's happening. So quite interesting. Good to see Shotzi. I don't feel like I've seen her in a while. So, yeah, I'm all right with this. Then we were backstage with Liv and Ronda. This was a little strange just because I thought Liv came across as a bit of a heel here. And I'll tell you why. Because Ronda was being interviewed. I don't remember her saying anything too disparaging about Liv. I don't remember her saying that Liv's weak, a disgrace or anything. I think she was just saying that she was going to win when they faced her, like when they next face. And Liv interrupts the interview, which is a bit of a weird thing for a babyface to do, to interrupt the interview. But she comes in, she sits down. She then talks really slow, like she wants every word to be listened to. And she talks very slow and in a way a little unhinged. I don't know why the promo was delivered at this speed. It was very slow. And she was saying that she wants an Extreme Rules match, basically. So she sat down, she delivered the promo at that speed, said that she has beaten Ronda twice, which I think is such a strange thing to bring up because the truth is the first time was a cash-in and Ronda, was injured or had been injured in that match against Natalya. And then the second time, as we know, was very controversial. So her banging on repeatedly about beating Ronda twice is also a very weird thing to gloat about for a babyface when everyone knows that it wasn't the cleanest of wins. So I don't know, I just really don't know what we're doing with Liv. I just don't know what we're doing. Like every segment I see her in, like there's always more questions than answers. I don't know if I don't know genuinely if the positive reactions Ronda has been getting recently, have they made Triple H look at this and go, let's just make Liv a little more heelish? I genuinely don't know. I don't know if they're not looking to make her a little more. I don't think that's the right way forward, and I don't know that that's what they're doing. But this was strange. It was really strange. I mean, Ronda was just sat there, not really doing anything, and Liv's the one that comes in and starts gloating about how she beat her twice and interrupting the interview, which, as I said, for a babyface is a very weird thing to do. So either way, look, this is going to build to an Extreme Rules match. I think that plays in Liv's favor. Which might surprise people. But I mean, listen, if you're just going to use your weapons that you've got, your arms, you know, your skills, she ain't beating Ronda Rousey. So all of a sudden now she's got the ability to use weapons. So all of a sudden now Liv doesn't need to rely on reversals, submissions, and trying to out-wrestle, out-maneuver one of the best fighters, female fighters on the planet. Now she can use weapons. So I think this plays massively into Liv's favor. She can come down and just start walloping Ronda with kendo sticks and throw chairs at her and fire extinguishers and anything else she can get her hands on. So I think this, I feel quite good for Liv leaving Extreme Rules with the championship. And who knows, we might even see like Shayna getting involved or something in this. But yeah, interesting how they're positioning this. This is obviously a big rematch that they need to get right following what happened at SummerSlam. But I think Liv will leave Extreme Rules as champion. Then we went back and the commentators were saying some stuff. Didn't quite catch what they were saying. They didn't talk for long, so they got interrupted. Drew jumped on the commentary table. He basically was calling out Karrion, saying, you know, you talk about TikTok and time running out. Well, 3, 2, 1 is kind of all I'm going to need. And, you know, he was calling out Karrion, basically. So they're on a collision course. Which is no surprise. But I don't think any match was made, but I'm sure that's going to be Extreme Rules. Then this was really interesting. We were backstage. Solo was about to have his match, and he turned around to Jey, and he said, you've dropped the ball tonight. Come on, Sami. And he allows Sami, of all people, to go to ringside with him. So Solo Sikoa, who is new onto the roster, kind of turning his back on his own brother, and allowing Sami to come down. So it's clear where Solo stands. He seems to be standing with Jimmy. So at the moment, it's only Jey that has got a problem with Sami. And yeah, interesting that what happened earlier in the night kind of played out here. All of these little things are so interesting in this story. It's very rich story with Sami and what's happening with the bloodline. And I thought this was a really fun segment, a really good segment. So, yeah, I like this. That leads to the match. And the match is for the NXT North American Championship. This is Solo taking on Madcap. And basically, Sami helps. Sami gets involved. He does a good job. Didn't know if Sami was going to cost Solo. I didn't think Solo would lose the title here. He only just won it on Wednesday. And I didn't think he would lose an NXT title on SmackDown. But, and he doesn't. And he does beat Madcap. And it is thanks to Sami. Madcap's on the verge, seemingly, of winning. And Sami grabs Solo, pulls him out the ring, making the save. Yeah, Sami did his job well. So it's going to be interesting, obviously, to see how that story continues. Then we got confirmation as to when the press conference is. So it's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on WWE.com. It's going to be on Facebook. They didn't say YouTube, but they said all of their platforms. So I would think YouTube. But it's going to be 12:30 Pacific time on Saturday, tomorrow, at the time of recording this. which is, I think, 3:30 Eastern, which is 8:30 UK time. So, look, it's a Crown Jewel press conference. Logan and Roman are both going to be there. It's a no-brainer where this is going. It's going to be a match. I don't know that it's for the titles. I just think it's going to be. I think it will be. I think Roman will be goaded into putting the belts on the line, and then we get Roman against Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. And I think Logan is going to shout about it all over his podcast, all over his social media. He's obviously got a massive following. This is the whole point as to why he's getting this opportunity. And, it's up to you. We've covered it. We've spoke about it. It's up to you now as to how you feel about it. But we'll see what gets said tomorrow. Then we also found out Roman would be back next week. The other match that was made for next week was Braun against Otis 1-on-1. I've got to think during that match, I'm guessing Gable gets involved. So I do agree that seemingly is building towards a handicap match. Maybe at Extreme Rules, maybe at Crown Jewel. Not too sure. But Braun against Otis 1-on-1 next week. And Roman returns next week. Then we went to our main event of the evening, and our main event of the evening was a fatal four-way. Winners would get to face the Usos. I don't think they said when exactly, but it was a number one contenders match. This was Brawling Brutes against Imperium, against Hit Row, against New Day. Teams had changed, actually. I'm sure the Street Profits were in there, and I think Maximum Male Models were in there as well. But they've changed the teams. Don't know why. But yeah, we've got great show of strength here by Top Dollar. I think he had Kofi, Xavier, and Butch on him at one point, and a good show of strength. A spot we've seen before. We've seen other people doing this spot, but it always looks cool. And I think Ridge managed to do an Alabama Slam with Top Dollar. Had him up on his back, flips him forward. That got a big chant from the crowd. Crowds were not brilliant tonight. They weren't that vocal tonight, but they were more vocal during this main event than at other points during the show. And so we got a couple of moments. There was a great moment where we saw Ashanti against Xavier Woods. And I think that's such an interesting match. Ashanti against Xavier Woods. In a way, I feel like they're very similar. I've always seen, rightfully or wrongfully, Xavier as being like the third person in the New Day. Like Big E is the big, powerful guy. You've got Kofi as the experience. I mean, Kofi is Kofi. And then you've got Xavier. Xavier is someone that's very tidy in the ring. He's very good on the mic. He definitely deserves his place in the New Day. But I think for me, he was always the weakest member. And again, that might not be fair, but that's just how I see it. And in a way, I kind of see Ashanti as that way. I mean, when we had Swerve was like the leader. He seemed to be the most charismatic. Then you've got Top Dollar, who's the powerful guy. And then I think you had Ashanti, who we don't know a great deal about. I haven't seen loads of him. His in-ring seems quite tidy. Whenever his promos, it's never stood out. So, I don't know, just like this, I feel like there's real similarities. There's a good comparison between Xavier and between Ashanti. And I'm quite intrigued. It then led me to think, could you imagine if in a different world, Ashanti had joined the New Day as like a Big E replacement? Now, obviously, he's not the powerhouse that Big E was, but that could be interesting as well. I don't know. I was quite intrigued. It was just something that jumped at me during this match. I was like, I think I would really like to see Xavier against Ashanti. I think I'd like to see that match. But yeah, this power from Top Dollar was good, and really nice moment from Ridge. The end result is that Brawling Brutes, of all people, pick up the win. So Brawling Brutes get the victory. This was quite a surprise. I really thought it'd be Hit Row. I thought Hit Row were going to get the win because they are, I believe, faces. And New Day have had shots against the Usos, so I didn't think it'd be them. I didn't think it'd be Imperium because they're heels. I didn't think it'd be Brawling Brutes because I think they're heels. But people tell me they're faces now. But I don't know what they've done to be faces. So, I don't know. I still see them as heels, to be honest. But yeah, they won anyway. They got the win. Brawling Brutes get the win. So maybe this is part of an ongoing heel face turn kind of a thing. So either way, they get the victory and they will go on to face the Usos. So there we go. That was SmackDown. And there was nothing here that was OMG. There was nothing here that I think really got me going. I think for me, because I'm not into the Logan Roman thing, that meant that the start of the show didn't really bring me in. And then we went to Sami against Ricochet, which is a bit of a cold match. And there was something about this show. It just felt like it never quite got going for me and never quite brought me in. And even though there's some nice moments in this show, and I certainly don't think it's a disastrous show, I have to say, I think this is one of the weaker SmackDowns under Triple H, which is coming off one of the weaker Raws under Triple H as well. It feels like now that we're settling down into a groove, like this crazy great booking that we were hoping for from Triple H isn't quite showing itself. And I think there's, a few people asking questions now about, like, is this how it's going to be? And don't forget, Raw did 1.7, which I think it was always going to struggle. I don't know what tonight's rating's going to be like, but just judging by how many people were joining us for the watch-along kind of makes me think that this is going to be another show that's kind of not going to be at the upper end of where it's been. I don't think this is going to do 2.3. It might be around 2. It could be maybe even 2.1, but I don't think it's going to be doing 2.3. I don't know that it will do 2.2. So this one might be a bit lower in the ratings as well. Difficult because they're going up against Monday Night Football. I don't know if there's a Friday Night Football, but yeah, I don't know. This one didn't massively grab me, this show, but we'll see. I'm certainly not saying this is the end of the Triple H era or anything like that. Way too early for that, but I could agree that, like, the excitement, the honeymoon period, if you will, I think it has now settled down. There's a good couple of shows now that have just been average. Let's put it that way, average. So I'm looking forward to seeing people's scores, seeing what people think. With that being said, let's jump over to the chat and see what people are saying. I won't be shocked if Brawling Brutes take the title, says John. Trenton said Kofi has picked up an injury. Kofi might have broken his neck. Is this being reported online, is it? Where's that being said? That's interesting. Let's jump over. Can't see anything coming through Fightful. Can't see anything on Twitter. Let's search Kofi, because this is quite big news, obviously, if Kofi's picked up a major injury. Kofi, Logan Paul's got a bright future. That's the last thing we've got there. Let's click on latest for Kofi Kingston. Ridge pinned Kofi. Can't see anything. So you'll have to let me know where that's being reported. College football was on tonight, says Trenton. Kofi is a veteran. No, can't see anything. Sometimes you have to embrace the dark side in you, and that's what Liv is doing against Ronda. Maybe it is that, Messiah. Maybe it is that. Yeah, maybe it is that she's having to go to a slightly darker place. Maybe she's still face, but she's having to go to a slightly darker place and be super hyper focused, which might be why her promo was delivered that way. In order to, beat Ronda. Hard to get that across in a short promo. I think they could have given them more time, to be honest. And I think they could have maybe told that story a little better and a little more, because it did just leave me with questions coming out of that promo. I'm not surprised that it's going to be an Extreme Rules match. I'm not surprised by that. And as I said, I think Liv stands a good chance of picking up the victory. What if Gunther and Bobby, it happens and it would be a squash match? What if Gunther and Bobby happens and it was a squash match? Well, I would have to hope that Gunther wins. I think Gunther's got a bright future. Bright future. So to see him lose to Bobby wouldn't be too bad, but if he lost by squash, that would be horrific. So, yeah, certainly wouldn't want that. Dylan said, do you think it's possible Sami will stay with the bloodline permanently? No, I don't. For me personally, I really hope that I hope there's a big split, and I hope that he gets mistreated, and I hope that I hope he goes after Roman. I really do. I was talking about that during the watch along. I think that he is the one to end Roman's title reign, which I know some people might not be on board with, but I think that Sami has always been a sleeping giant. He was a big star in NXT. He was NXT champion. He main evented takeovers. He came up and there was a real buzz when he first arrived. He's been all right. He's bobbed around. I mean, there's been some stuff where he's been around the Intercontinental title. I remember when he was managing, was it Cesaro and Nakamura? That felt like a real low. That felt like a low point. I don't know why he was managing for as long as he was and he wasn't wrestling. I don't know if there was like an injury thing there. But that felt like probably the lowest point of his main roster run. But then I liked it when he was saying there was conspiracy against him and he was the great liberator. But I think what they're doing with him right now is the best. And honestly, the crowd booed Logan. They weren't feeling that opening segment. But once Sami got in, they broke out into Sami chants. So Sami has definitely got a connection with the fans. And I think if you can build it right and tell the right story, you could really get somewhere. There's a lot of people that want Sami to win the tag belts. I don't. My sights are higher than that. I want him to go after Roman. I don't want him to, I don't want all of this to result in Sami and Kevin being tag champs. I want this to result in Sami being the Universal champ. And I don't know that he would hold it for that long. I don't know, quite how you tell that story, but I feel like you could do a bit of a Daniel Bryan with Sami. I really do. I think all the pieces are there. You've just got to mistreat him now. You've just got to have him mistreated and have people feeling sorry for him. And you've just got to have people waiting and talking about when's Sami going to turn? When's he going to turn on him? When's he going to stand up for himself? It's not fair. I don't like Sami being treated this way. And when's he going to stand up for himself kind of a thing. You build that right and you tell that story right, and Sami eventually turns and snaps and starts hoovering the Usos and starts hoovering Solo and going after Roman, and then we end up getting Roman Sami. Could be massive. Roman Sami next SummerSlam. I would absolutely love that. I 100% agree that booking Sami to beat Roman would be very, very difficult, because this is a Roman that has beaten John Cena, he's beaten Brock Lesnar, he's beaten all of these greats. Obviously, you'd need this bloodline being dealt with, and I would think Kevin Owens could come down and deal with them. So imagine Kevin Owens coming down and helping Sami and cheering Sami on from the outside. Go on, Sami. It's your time. It's your time. There's so many pieces you could put in place to make that moment epic. So many things you could do. So, I'd like to go that way with him. So when do I think they kick him out? Hopefully not for a long time, and hopefully they abuse him first, which sounds weird, but I think we could really get somewhere. Brendan said, how will you bring Elias back? Will Triple H just hope we forget about the Ezekiel stuff? Same with people like Karrion and his failed run. Choo-choo, Strowman is another example of amnesia. Not really, to be honest, because Ezekiel has always been presented as different to Elias. So if you bring Elias back, we don't see Ezekiel. So you don't need to forget Ezekiel or anything like that if you bring Elias back, because they've never been presented as the same person. They've always been, wink, wink, nudge, 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 nudge. They're different. And you just keep it that way. So I don't think that's a problem. If you want to bring Elias back, you just bring Elias back. How you do it, I don't think really matters, because he's not the biggest of stars, is he? So He's not like, I think if you bring Elias back, I don't think people are going to lose their minds over it. In fact, we've already seen Elias with like the Ezekiel character. He didn't get a great reaction. So I don't think like you need anything epic to bring Elias. I think you just bring him back. Just a couple of vignettes saying that Elias is coming back and you bring him back. Elias is, to me, is a jobber with a gimmick, very much like Maximum Male Models. So that's why I don't think you need a big build. Same with people like Karrion and his failed run under Vince. Well, again, I mean, Karrion is back and he's with Scarlett, and I mean, they're just not gonna like acknowledge what he did before, but I don't think it's a problem. I could see someone mentioning it in a promo against him, and he can easily explain it as just not being in the right frame of mind, or saying that Scarlett wasn't with him, and without her guidance, he was going down the wrong roads and going down the wrong paths and making mistakes that he won't make now. So I kind of feel like that can be explained as well. But I don't know that it needs to be explained, because he left and now he's come back and it's kind of a bit of a reset for him. He's not a different character. I don't think it's a case that he's a different person to the person we saw before. It's just there's no need to really mention any of that, because it's just largely irrelevant now. And if someone does bring it up to kind of make fun of him about it, like, where's your kinky gladiator costume? He's definitely got things he can come back with. Most notably, yeah, I made mistakes in the past, but I'm a different person now, and I've got Scarlett now, and there's things that he can say if it ever did get brought up. And Choo-Choo Strowman, again, we don't need to mention it. I mean, that was something Strowman was doing when he was around under Vince. He's gone. He's come back. He's made some changes. He's wearing different attire now. He's still Strowman, but I don't think that you need to look at Strowman and think about, like, when they were making those train noises and stuff like that. Like, he's gone away. He's come back. He's being presented how Triple H wants to present him. And it's not a case of like having amnesia, but it's just more of a case of, why do you need to mention those things? Like, why do we need to mention that he used to do the train sounds? Like, why would we mention that? We don't need to. There's no need to, is there? What's the point? We're not hiding anything. There's just literally no need to mention it. And I would say the same with Karrion. There's no need to mention what we were doing before. It's just a continuation, and it's just we're in a different place now. So I don't think any of that's a problem. Do you remember when Elias was supposed to be the guy to beat Cena? That's why they interacted those couple of Manias in a row. I believe that's where they were heading, but it just didn't click with the fans. Legend Killer said, I liked the tag match main event. Mark said, I'm sorry, but Sami beating Roman would be horrible. Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. I think that Sami he was great down in NXT as the champion. I think he came up and has got a real connection with the fans. I think he's a very talented in-ring performer. If you watch his matches with Kevin Owens, but not only just Kevin Owens, look at his match with Shinsuke from NXT. And, he's shown that he can have great matches against different opponents. So in-ring is no concern with Sami. Promo is no concern with Sami. He's one of the most charismatic, one of the most engaging people. I would say the only downside to Sami is his size. The fact that he is a smaller guy and not as big as a Karrion, a Drew, or a Roman. That's what counts against him. And so I think if there is to be a criticism of Sami, you could maybe point towards how he's being booked, but obviously that can change. And you can point towards his size. But I think that if you get the booking right, that sorts that. His size will never change, but under Triple H, I think there was quite a bit of excitement that this would mean there'd be more opportunities for the smaller guys. And, someone like Sami that seemingly would never have got anywhere under Vince, I think now stands a good chance of getting somewhere. Same with Johnny. I mean, would Johnny Gargano have got anywhere under Vince because he's a smaller guy? Maybe, maybe not. I think that was a real concern, wasn't it? That was a real concern Johnny had of like, I can't go to the main roster because I'll never be the guy. I'll never be used right. So Yeah, I would. That's what I would book. I would book Sami to be the one. I think Sami is in a really good place and has got really good crowd support. But I can understand why people would say not Sami. I think it would be the fact that he keeps losing, keeps jobbing, which you would have to change. And I think also the fact of his size, which you can't do anything about. But I'm totally down for giving the smaller guys opportunities. Imagine if Sami beat Roman, said Joe. Tanja said it would be great if he cost him the title. Brenton said, is it me or is the women's division hurting without Charlotte? People always complained about her holding the belt being at top, but she really held the division together. I think she's a very credible champion. I think that she's also a flair, so she's got name recognition. And I think that she is definitely someone that is an asset. And I think there's lots of people that don't like her because they feel that she holds up the division. But I think she's a star. I think she's great in ring. I think she's good promo. She's got size. I mean, she ticks every box. She's a great heel. She's a natural heel. She ticks every box. People don't like her, but that's good. She's a heel. You're not meant to. So, yeah, I agree. You don't like the current women's champion, says Tanja. I like Bianca being women's champion. I don't mind Liv being champion, but I don't like this run. So I definitely would look to move away from Liv now, but put the belt back on her further down the road. William said, Sami is goofy. He'll never be taken serious. Don't get me wrong. Sami is talented. He has been overused with his goofy gimmick. It wouldn't work. Michael said, wouldn't Shayna Ronda be heel versus heel? And do you think they will agree to them being friends? I don't know what Ronda is right now, to be honest, because, I mean, she was face in her match with Natalya. When she went up against Liv, she was face. I think that was face versus face. And then seemingly she may have turned heel after when she got frustrated and attacked. But the crowd were cheering her because I think the crowd appreciated that she actually won that match. And so it seemed like crowd support was with Ronda. And then after that, she's done just some really cool stuff. Like you could say attacking Adam Pearce is a heel thing to do. But it certainly hasn't been portrayed as a heel thing. Like it's been portrayed more like an anti-authority thing. So I don't know. I'm not too sure what Ronda is at the moment. I can't say I really look at Ronda as heel. If anything, I'd say she's maybe in between. So I think if you was to do Ronda Shayna, I would imagine Shayna would attack Ronda and Shayna would be the heel in it. And I think Ronda would be the face. So I don't think it would be heel versus heel. Dylan said, I don't mind Sami beating Roman if he was to bring back his old ring gear and theme for that match. They should book Shayna to win. She literally destroyed everyone at the pay-per-view and they booked her to lose, which is crazy to me. Michael said the ref's decision is final. That's true, but it doesn't change perception, does it? So even though the ref didn't see and as a result we did, and so the ref made the decision, we can all see that the ref made the wrong decision. So that's the problem, isn't it? Like, just because the ref's decision is final, that's fine. Liv wins. No one's arguing that. Ref's decision is final. But it doesn't change what everyone saw. And it doesn't change the perception of the fans. And it doesn't change the fact we've got a champion that for many people shouldn't be champion. No ref's decision is going to change that. So this ref's decision is final is a weak argument. Because, all right, it explains why... like she's got the belt and why she's won the match and they haven't changed the decision, but it still doesn't change people's perception. Trini said they've managed to make Ronda likable whilst making Liv unlikable. It's crazy, but there it is. One video game dude says, does Logan make you think of David Arquette winning the WCW belt? My God, can you imagine? Well, I mean, look, if he wins, it will, yes. If Logan wins, then that is the comparison, but I just have to hope that he doesn't win, to be honest. I mean, it's crazy to me that he has 2 matches and finds himself in a title match. don't know. I mean, look, you're going to have people that are going to watch this saying, oh, you just take it all too seriously. But yeah, I do take it seriously. Like, I watch a lot of wrestling, and, I think if you watch a lot of wrestling, then you watch to see who are the number one contenders, who's got the momentum, who deserves, who do you want to be getting title shots. Isn't that the whole thing with wrestling? Who do you want to get a title shot? Who's your favorite superstar? And they become your favorite superstar for lots of different reasons. But, I love Asuka. I want Asuka to get there and to get a title shot. I love Gunther. I want Gunther to have a good Intercontinental title reign and then eventually go after the WWE Championship. So, when you watch a lot of wrestling, you have your favorites. You talk all the time about how do you think things are going. For someone to come in and just have 2 matches and get a title opportunity is just silly to me. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And, it does when you think that they're going to use Logan's platform to, promote WWE. That is literally it, isn't it? There's no two ways about it. There's no other way of carving it. It is literally so that they can have Logan talking about his title match on Impulsive Podcast, on all of his social media platforms, and hopefully spike the ratings for Crown Jewel and, get the biggest main event they can possibly get. I mean, I don't know what the social media numbers are like. I don't know what the ratings for his match were like the videos connected to his matches. Maybe the numbers have been astronomical. Maybe the numbers are just, undeniable. That his YouTube videos, his TikTok videos, anything that is to do with Logan on WWE's platforms could have gone crazy. And so it might have just left them with little to no doubt that is the right match to make right now. But still not the way I would book it. I think he needed to win a number one contenders or something. I mean, the guy's had 2 matches and one of them was a tag match. So if you are seeing a backlash, and I have to think you will be, certainly judging by the crowd reaction, I've got to think that's probably the big reason why, is because a lot of people feel he doesn't deserve it. Let's have a look and see what you lot think, though, because it's that part in the show where we go to your thoughts, your scores, and let's have a look and see what you lot have said. So at the moment, 6. Wow. So this show, 6 out of 10. 7.5 was second. 7 was joint second. 6.5 was joint second as well, but 6 is seemingly where we are with this. Let's have a look. WWE press conference in the same day and location as Canelo and Triple G. Free spotlight and media for WWE. Strategic business move. It was well played. Solo Sikoa in action against Madcap for the North American was Hayden's favorite. Charlotte facing Bianca at Mania and will win. Thoughts? Dave Meltzer has confirmed this. My thoughts are Charlotte against Bianca and winning. I don't mind, to be honest. I mean, Bianca keeps winning at WrestleMania. I think she only needs to beat Charlotte to have beaten all 4 horsewomen. And I really don't think she should get that achievement at the first time of trying. I think that when she does that, that is definitely something she can gloat about and brag about. And that match makes a lot of sense if you think about it. She's beaten Becky. She's beaten Bayley. She's beaten Sasha. She's beaten Becky and Sasha at WrestleMania. She beat Bayley on the road to WrestleMania 37, I believe. So the only one that's left to beat is Charlotte. There's a big backstory there for that match. Big backstory as a result. And I really don't think the first time of trying, she should succeed. That would be a big achievement to beat the 4 horsewomen. So, yeah, I don't mind that match. And I really don't mind Charlotte winning. Liv and Ronda segment. Solo choosing Sami over Blood, says Sam. Austin needs to moderate again. Hashtag. I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him. Oh, he's banned, didn't he? Tag team match. Pretty good, but wrong decision. Brawling Brutes winning and Sami helping Solo. Bloodline, seeing Paul Heyman and Ronda Rousey. The Fatal 4-Way and the Bloodline stuff. Pat still being gone from commentary. Now, Before anyone says I've written that, I have not written that, right? I don't know who that person is, but they are now officially my favorite person in this community. Whoever that is, you should have put your name, right? Because I would have acknowledged you. Honorary Uso, Sami Zayn, here's the GOAT. Number 1 contenders tag team match. Ricochet landing on the Usos. Bayley won and beats Raquel. Liv Morgan and Ronda. Main event Moss and Solo. The first 40 minutes. That's interesting because I was just going down thinking no one is saying Logan is their favorite part. But someone here said the first 40 minutes. Sami and Ricochet. Main event. Pete Dunne. Solo versus Madcap. Braun Strowman. Sheamus wasn't on the show. Did he even go out there with the Brawling Brutes, actually? Solo and Sami, Damage Control, main event. Here's another Logan. There's another Logan. So we got 3 Logans out of our responses. Go to things don't like. Nothing really. But did you hear that Brock might return to face Bo? Oh, Bobby for the US title. If that happens, it'll be great for the title. Also, apparently, Brock will be around for a while, working a full-time schedule. At the start of the show, not because of Logan, but because the fans booed him when he's clearly a face. They need to grow up. Yeah, the only thing I'd say to that, though, is that he's getting a title match after 2 matches. So they seemingly don't feel, neither do I, that he is deserving of a title match yet. So it actually might not be anything particularly personal to Logan. It might not be that they hate Logan. It might be they just don't want to see a guy that's only had 2 matches get a title shot. I said during the watch along, I would feel the exact same if this was Bron Breakker. This was Gunther. Like 2 matches and you're getting a shot at the WWE Universal Undisputed Championships. I mean, that is crazy. That is crazy. The heels winning. Why are they doing heel versus heel? And prayers for Kofi might have been hurt. That it was kind of a nothing burger episode. Confusing SmackDown, said Sam. Logan potentially getting a world title shot. Maximum Male Models School Collection. The Logan segment could have been better. The Back to School fashion show. Karrion Kross promo. Londa, that's Ronda and Logan. Logan Paul, Ronda, Liv segment. Logan Paul, Hit Row, Liv Morgan. Solo retains. Madcap deserved that. It was no back to school look. Logan Paul punching Sami. The opening match was Ricochet, Sami. Roman Reigns segment. We didn't have one. Anaheim Ducks. 4-team tag match. Bayley, Raquel. Main event. Liv, Ronda. New Day. Logan. Hit Row. Liv. End. So there we go. A real mixture, actually, of things that people didn't enjoy from this week's show. Let's just get the final thoughts, shall we? Michael said, you didn't say that when Becky pinned Ronda and Ronda kicked out. We all saw, but the ref didn't. Why do people blame the wrestlers and not the booker? Okay. So what I would say, Michael, is that it's a completely different situation because at SummerSlam, Liv tapped. She should have actually lost the match. So what we saw at SummerSlam was that the person that won the match tapped and actually should have lost. The difference with WrestleMania 35 is that was a backslide. And even though Ronda sort of gets her shoulder up, it's all a little bit clunky. And to be honest, even if Becky shouldn't have won, she equally shouldn't have lost. It's not like Becky was tapping at the same time and should have lost the match. So it's a completely different situation. So the referee saw that, I mean, you can make the argument that Becky shouldn't have been champion. You can make that argument because Ronda's like shoulder got up. But to be honest, I don't know how convincing the shoulder being up was. And actually, the whole ending of WrestleMania 35, considering that was the main event, the big takeaway was that I was under the impression it was not meant to finish that way. And actually, I'm still under that impression. I'm under the impression that ending of WrestleMania 35 was botched. I think it was a botch. I actually don't think that's how it was meant to end. I think the reason Charlotte was in that match was because she was meant to take the pin. And it might have been Becky pinning Charlotte, not Becky pinning Ronda. And so Ronda tried to get her shoulders up. The ref genuinely didn't notice. And 1, 2, 3. That situation is so different to what we had at SummerSlam. So different because there's nothing botched about the finish at SummerSlam. And equally, Liv is tapping, which means not only should she not have won, she should have actively lost. So it's a different situation. We all saw the ref didn't. Why do people blame wrestlers and not the booker? I think some blame the booking. I mean, we certainly with Liv, we've said that was a bad way for Triple H to book it. But the bottom line is that she tapped and she's got the belt. And so the fans go with the story. So that's the story that WWE Triple H has chosen to tell. So we don't know where that story is going. And actually at SummerSlam, when I did, I think my review, I said that, well, let's wait and see where this goes. Let's wait and see where this goes. I wasn't a fan of it, but I was interested to see where it goes. Now, we don't know as fans if they're not turning Liv heel or what they're doing. I mean, clearly she tapped. Clearly it was booked that way. And so the fans react and follow the story. And their reaction was, you tapped out. You're not meant to have that belt. That's what happened, and that's the fan reaction, and that's the fans following the story. And equally, the fans were saying along the way, I don't think that was very good booking. And when it turned out that that's not the reaction that WWE wanted, clearly not the reaction they were looking for, that's when, they started speaking out on social media, Kayla and all of this kind of stuff. And so, what are you meant to do? The fans reacted to the story that was being told. It just turns out that the story that was being told was botched. They messed it up. I mean, it's you cannot look at that SummerSlam finish and say that was the right way of booking that match. Liv hates it. Liv has spoken out about it, says she hates that finish, and even has said she understands why the fans reacted the way they did. It was just, there's no two ways about it. It's a botched finish. But I think at the time, we didn't know quite what story they were trying to tell. We didn't know if they were trying to turn Liv heel and have her be a champion that's just going to now cheat to win or whatever. We didn't quite know. And so the fans just reacted to the story. There's been times in the past where matches have ended with the same situation and no one complains. Well, I would argue that there's not been that many times. And certainly I can't think of anything recently. I mean, you're telling me there's been times in the past where someone has won a belt by tapping first and losing first and being a face whilst doing it. So they're a face versus face. Don't forget, they didn't cheat a heel. Ronda didn't go in as a heel. Right? So it's not as if Ronda's like a big bad heel that, is cheated all the time. Ronda is someone that's been playing it straight. She doesn't deserve to be cheated. So if it's happened loads of times in the past, right? Feel free to give me the example. Give me the example of face versus face where the end of the match is someone wins after they're tapping out at the same time, because I can't give you many examples of that. Brenton said, why hasn't wrestling instituted some kind of instant replay or VAR? It sounds like a good idea, sort of like AEW's ranking system. Well, it's because this kind of controversy is, it's always been a part of wrestling, hasn't it? It's sort of like, why don't they ban people from ringside? Why don't you say that anyone that interferes in a match will have their contracts terminated? I mean, there's cameras watching. The people backstage are watching. Triple H is on the monitor watching. Triple H can see that EO is, just because the ref can't see it, Triple H can see it. So, like, you could go down a road, couldn't you, then, of like, why aren't people kicked from ringside? Why is it that they're allowed to be at ringside and interfere? Why is it when people interfere, they're not like suspended? Why is it that people are allowed to beat up security? You know, all this kind of stuff. Like there's a degree of just having to accept a few things when it comes to wrestling. And to be honest, I'd love for a lot of that to get tidied up. I would love for a lot of that to get tidied up. But it never will. It's just been part of pro wrestling for the longest time. So, you know, and these kind of moments, you know, distractions and things like that. I mean, if you brought in VAR and whatever, then, you know, any kind of distraction you'd have to think would have to then get reviewed. And that would be a massive change to pro wrestling. So if you was to do it, you could do it through VAR, or you don't even need VAR, to be honest, because you could have a referee, like you could have Triple H just watching or a ref just watching, and you don't even need like a replay, really. We all see it. We all see it like beamed around the world. So, but it'd be a massive, massive change to wrestling, that would. Michael said, 1 minute wrestler. I know her booking hasn't been good, but it is Triple H and Vince's fault. When Ronda lost to Becky, it wasn't a backslide. Becky hit the Beck ploder. Do you think the whole Roman and Liv stuff was already pre-planned? When Ronda lost to Becky, it wasn't a backslide. She had her rolled down. I remember how she had her. She might have hit a Bexploder, but she didn't just go for the 1, 2, 3. I can picture in my mind the end of WrestleMania 35. Her shoulders are coming down at an angle like this, and she like just kind of gets her shoulder up. But to be honest, I don't know quite how clear it is. I don't know how clear it is that she gets the shoulder up and the referee misses it. But as I said, that's drastically different to SummerSlam, because Becky did not lose that match. You can argue she shouldn't have won, but she definitely didn't lose, whereas Liv should have lost the match. Trini said the Demon as a character was ruined when they booked him to lose via interference by God. I agree. That wasn't Finn's fault, but the result was the same. It happens in wrestling. She will move on, and it's not the end. 1 minute wrestler said it's Vince's faults. Which one for what? Tanja said, why do you think they will have Liv? Why do you think they have Liv at Extreme? Well, she's the champion, and I think we need to do the rematch with Ronda. I think she will beat Ronda thanks to it being an Extreme Rules match, and then I think that sorts that out. So that's that done then. You know, that will massively help Liv, because right now a lot of people think that Ronda should be champion. Well, if Ronda loses to Liv at Extreme Rules, that's not going to be the feeling anymore, is it? So I can see them doing the match. I can see weapons being involved. I can see Liv winning as a result. And then that kind of will quiet anyone that says that Ronda's the rightful champion, because you can't say that after she loses to Liv. Do you think Charlotte will be part of the match, says Mysterious? No. I think this is just going to be a way of having Liv beat Ronda. I mean, could Charlotte distract? Maybe she could distract, but I don't think it'll be a triple threat. Sonny said, are your parents having fun in Spain? No, I have no idea. They are in Spain at the moment, but I have no idea. Is Kira a good girl? She's all right. She's pretty good. She's not been letting me sleep too much, but I got enough sleep to feel good to get through this stream. Hopefully I'm going to feel good enough tomorrow. Tomorrow's obviously a long stream tomorrow with UFC and with the boxing in particular. So tomorrow's a big one. I think Ronda beats Liv because Triple H is sick and tired of Edward DMing about it. Something about 420 said, I just dropped by to say I can't wait to see your dong in action. Yes, big show tomorrow. Trini said, side note, it was said that Becky was supposed to pin Charlotte at WrestleMania. and didn't actually see who she was pinning. The ref shouldn't have counted the 3. That's why Ronda looked confused. That's interesting. That's interesting. I still agree with that. I still think, in all fairness, the referees are told, right? And this is where I think part of the problem has come from. And this is why I think that ending was botched. The referees are told 1, 2, 3, you count if the shoulders are down. So the referee has seen the shoulders down. He's counted it. Now, I don't know if she has just kind of awkwardly got a shoulder up, right? I don't know if it's like fully up or whatever, but in that heat of the moment, the referee has looked and he's counted the 3, right? Now, you can say it's a referee botch. I certainly think the ending is botched, and I certainly think that Charlotte was in that match to take the pin. But again, look, everyone keeps saying referee's decision is final, and the referees counted 1, 2, 3, and so the ref's decision is final. Just like the referee's decision is final in regards to the SummerSlam match. So 1, 2, 3, referee's decision is final. That's fine. But the problem is that we saw Liv tap out first. So everyone saw that the person that goes home with the belt should not have won the belt, actually should have actively lost the belt. Apparently it's crucifix pin. Do you think the whole Roman Logan thing was pre-planned? Yeah, so crucifix pin, so her shoulders were like backslid down and she was, so yeah, so it's what we said. Do you think Roman Logan was pre-planned? Yes. During Sean Ross Sapp live interview. It's on YouTube. Check it out. What's this? Your dong is here. Right. I think we got to the end of all the comments. Right. So that's it. The show was 6 out of 10. That was the community score. Big day tomorrow. Really appreciate everyone joining us. Hope you got out of SmackDown whatever you was hoping to get out of it. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining us. Hope you enjoyed our various conversations. Spoken a lot about Liv, spoken a lot about Logan in particular, and covered a few other bits and bobs throughout the show. And we will be back with these reviews on Monday for Raw. And as we said, we are back live tomorrow as well. So thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate the support. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.